Shamrock Rovers and Leeds United was somewhat overshadowed following the news that Leeds Youth Academy player Peter Mitchell, who's originally from Limavady, sustained serious injuries in a car crash last night. Despite that trauma, Leeds produced a quality performance, Henry McStay putting away their first goal after just 2 minutes. Their second came just before half-time. From this corner, the ball was neatly put away by Martin Woods. Just before the final whistle, Leeds secured another goal, giving them a 3-0 victory over the Dublin side.
Obviously, we're pleased to get a win under our belt, but it was a traumatic time for the club, particularly in lieu of what happened last night with one of our academies, Peter Mitchell.
And to the elite section, and Wales manager Mark Hughes was among a good crowd at Ballymoney to see last year's all-conquering Paraguay. But it was Wales who went in front, a penalty on 7 minutes, Michael Byrne the scorer. After that it was all one-way traffic, and the Wales keeper had to pull off a string of fine saves. On 27 minutes Paraguay were level, Erwin Avalos, with the finish after frantic efforts by the defenders to clear. And then cruel luck. In the dying seconds of the game, Pedro Velázquez with the finish in off the post. No wonder they had time at the end to thank the Lord.
County Tyrone were up against the Japanese national side in the junior section at Ballymoney. Unfortunately, like the weather, the first half was a fairly dull affair with few clear-cut chances. But as the day brightened up, so too did the game, and the Japanese went ahead with a goal early in the second half when Kenta Kato fired in from a tight angle. Like their national side in the World Cup, the Japanese were willing to chase everything, and they began to put Tyrone under real pressure. It was no surprise when they went 2-0 ahead thanks to a thumping free kick from Takayuki Funayama. Tyrone had a chance to pull one back, but unfortunately Michael Corcoran's free kick was just too high. The Japanese players looked as though they could run all day, and with Tyrone tiring, a defensive error let Kento Suramaki in to make it 3-0 with a shot which crept in off the post.
If Japan are impressive, so too Antrim. 9-0 winners against Liaoning. Some great highlights, and none more so than a fine hat-trick from Joel Locke. He scored the last 3 goals in his county's rout of the Chinese side. The number 18, as ever, always alert. A fine afternoon for him, and indeed for his county.
Meanwhile at Anderson Park, County Londonderry held Brazilian side Botafogo to a draw. Botafogo dominated the first half. From this corner, a goalmouth scramble eventually resulted in a goal from Constantini. In the second half, the Derry side produced a much more confident performance, attacking the Brazilian defence early on. Their goal coming from this build-up down the left. The original cross was blocked and fell to Cahir Cook, who blasted the ball home. They had several more chances, but in the end it was a 1-1 draw, a performance that Derry manager Jude Story wasn't too disappointed with.
The guys didn't work great in the first half, but the second half they're tremendous, give 200% for us, so that we can't ask for more than that.
And a very competitive game at the Warren, with Norwich edging out Cherry Orchard 1-0 with a late winner. Dermot O'Carroll so unlucky with this effort. And then worse was to follow, as the Dubliners, after a neat build-up, could only see this ball cleared off the line. And then in the dying seconds, cruel luck on the Dublin side. Norwich in for a goal from Liam Smith at the second attempt, and they can count themselves a little bit fortunate.
County Tyrone's side in the under-17 Premier section were drawn against Premiership club Manchester City, and it looked as though they'd be in for a tough time when City hit the post in the first couple of minutes. But Tyrone fought back and had most of the possession without managing to turn it into goals. But it was Manchester City who went ahead, and Chinedum Onua burst in on goal, and keeper Michael Corr conceded the penalty. Paul Murphy made no mistake with a confident spot kick. Well, the boys are 1-0 down at half-time. Can they turn it round, do you think?
I'm pretty sure they can turn it round. I think we've had 75% of possession. It's very like yesterday's match. We were caught in the counter-attack, gave away a penalty, but we were creating chances in there, and just with a wee bit of luck, if the boys can keep the work rate up with a wee bit of luck, we'll get the goal, maybe go on to win it.
Oh, better not keep you back. Go and give them a pep talk.
Stay on. Thank you.
The half-time pep talk worked wonders for Tyrone as they piled the pressure on the Premiership side in the second half. But chance after chance went begging, and it was almost inevitable that they'd pay the price. When they did, it was Paul Murphy, again providing City's killer touch, this time with a flying header. Tyrone never gave up the chase, but the game ended 2-0 to City.
Meanwhile, at Rugby Avenue Stadium in Coleraine, it was Club Atlético Independiente of Argentina and the Australian Institute of Sport. Independiente dominated the first half, securing 2 goals, the first coming from this ball crossed by Romero and slotted in by Fabro. Fabro had a hand in their second. After some great work down the left, he threaded this pass to Castillo, who slipped it past the keeper. The Socceroos' best chance came in the second half from a penalty arising out of this incident, but the shot was blasted over the bar. And at the whistle, the score 2-0 to Independiente.
And Crewe are into the last 8 after beating County Armagh 2-1 this evening. Crewe went in front with this rather fortunate goal from Nicholas Maynard. But Armagh hit back with an equaliser. Thomas Stewart, good awareness, well taken goal. But it was Crewe who secured the points with a second half penalty. Kyle Wilson beating Scott Best from the spot.
Paraguay won the Premier section of last year's Milk Cup with some sensational goal scoring. So when they moved up to the Elite Under-19 competition this time, Northern Ireland knew they were in for a severe test, and so it proved. At the Coleraine Showgrounds, Oscar Diaz gave the visitors an early lead with a delicately placed shot past William Coyles. And they went 2 up when Northern Ireland captain Sean Cleary was judged to have pulled back a Paraguayan forward. Julio dos Santos dispatched the penalty with some style. Then came a moment which seemed to settle the game. Pat McCourt fell in the penalty area, but the referee wasn't impressed. Out came first a yellow and then a red card, and Northern Ireland were down to 10 men. However, as the first half drew to a close, Northern Ireland pulled one back, Gary Brown's persistence allowing him to score while sitting on the turf. But there was no happy ending. The second half had barely started when Ernesto Cristaldo restored Paraguay's 2-goal margin with a wonderful finish. Northern Ireland did have a goal disallowed before Paraguay added a 4th late on in the game.
Roy Muller, your reaction to that now?
Obviously disappointed in the result. You have to be when you lose an international 4-1. But very, very difficult to play when you're down to 10 men after half an hour's play. We created, first 20 minutes of the game, we could have been 2-0 up, 3-0 up, but unfortunately we didn't take our chances. And then out of the blue they got a goal, and before half time they got a penalty. One of those games where you have to take your chances, and where we were punished when we made defensive mistakes. So give the Paraguay full credit for their performance, but on the positive side there were a lot of very good performances from some of our young players, as obviously you can see from the number of shots and goals that we had.
The Milk Cup isn't just about youth football. The coaching staff like to have their fun too. Now, as you know, most of our reports from the Milk Cup come at a decent hour. Well, it's just 6 o'clock in the morning and I'm here in Portstewart Strand because Gerry Armstrong, the former Northern Ireland international, is taking a training session. Am I mad or what? Gerry, why is all I can ask.
We enjoy it, it's our chance to get down and have a bit of fun on the beach. All the coaches, they're coaching the kids during the day, but we love to come down here, have a little bit of a 9-a-side beach soccer, and then we'll go back and have a shower and breakfast and get ready for the rest of the day.
Now everyone remembers where they were when this magnificent goal was scored in Valencia. And it certainly doesn't look like Gerry the Legend Armstrong has lost any of his silky skills.
To make that possible, Hamilton contributed his part. Alan Arconada just pushed it straight to the feet of Gerry Armstrong, and how well he buried it.
Now that's the way to start any match. David Knight, the Borough keeper, the hero Mitsuhashi, the Japanese goalkeeper, badly caught out. But the Japanese kept pressing, but the final ball just wasn't good enough. Japan continued to look the more exciting side, and perhaps they should have done better here. Just before half-time, a little bit of magic to Surimaki. Really, he deserved a goal, a little bit unlucky. And then Middlesbrough increased their lead in the second half. A well-placed hitter, this from Lee Cattermole. Midway through the half, the Premiership side lost their skipper David Wheater for this very reckless challenge.